Question number 2, Honi Harawira. Order. Order.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Kia ora tātou katoa te whare. To the Minister for Economic Development. Does he think the government's decision to grant 230 new pokie machines, 52 new gambling tables and a 35-year licence extension is worth the increase in relationship breakdowns, depression, suicide, family violence, increased money laundering, job losses, increased problem gambling and financial problems as identified by its own Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment compiled regulatory impact statement, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I reject the premise of the member's question for a number of reasons. The first point is to note that the regulatory impact statement states that harm from gambling may include the things the member refers to. It's also important that there are a number of things that mitigate against those possibilities in this case. Firstly, it's by no means clear at all that a marginal increase in machines in one casino will increase gambling harm, especially when the total number of machines across Auckland and across New Zealand continues to decline. Also, the negotiated significant additional harm minimisation measures that apply to all gambling machines across the casino will together act to reduce harm. And once the concessions are in place, there is also absolutely nothing to stop the regulatory authorities introducing new harm minimisation measures over time.
Supplementary question, Honi Harawira.
When the Minister said yesterday that it is difficult to quantify the potential size of any increased risk of harm, does that mean he did not read the full impact statement from his own ministry, which said, and I quote, an additional 4,779 people may be at least partly affected by casino machines and an additional 3,600 by tables? And does he now accept that the potential size of any increased risk of harm is not only quantifiable but also unacceptable?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, no, and in fact the same statement, because it's important to get in context, says it is difficult to quantify the potential risk of any increased risk of harm. It goes on to say, in relation to the matters the member raises, that this is a hypothesis. It says in paragraph 91 it is possible to hypothesise. It then goes on to say it is difficult to estimate additional numbers, and putting a precise cost on this potential increase is also difficult. So it does record a hypothesis as a possibility, but as I answered in the primary question, there are a number of things that mitigate against that.
Supplementary question, Honi Harawira.
Does the Minister accept that the decision to grant 230 new pokie machines, 52 new gambling tables and a 35-year licence extension is evidence that this government operates on the basis that deliberately harming its own citizens is acceptable as long as it achieves its own primary goals of allowing their fat cat friends to profiteer from New Zealanders' misery and getting free access for themselves, and if not, why not?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
I reject that assertion completely. This government is focused on jobs and growth for New Zealanders. I appreciate that member himself is against jobs and growth for his constituents in Te Tai Tokerau. This government is focused on it. The reality is that many human activities have the potential for social harm, but the important thing is how you mitigate that risk.
Question number 3, Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance.